I think we like to bring up the first bullet of 2020. I'm pretty sure everybody remembers.
You wearing a jersey, man.
The passing
you wearing a jersey.
of the late great Kobe Bean Bryant.
Rest in peace,
man. Rest in peace, Kobe, man. How did you find out? What was your initial reaction?
So it was happened on a Sunday, of course. Again, we are in LA, so I remember waking up and I guess one of the first thoughts I had waking up was looking out the window. They say in California it never rains; it's always sunny. Mm-hmm. That Sunday it was pretty gloomy, so it was just a quick thought that passed my mind. It was pretty gloomy out there, but of course you think nothing of it. You keep going, and I remember later on that day I was just in bed scrolling through the gram, and I saw it on the gram, and the first thing I was like, shit. And then my wife, Shelby, she was in the kitchen, and she's like, what? And I'm like, Kobe died. And she immediately brushed me off. She's like, no, he didn't. And I was like, Kobe died. And she's like, no, he didn't. So I was quiet. I'm like, let me get some more information, make sure it's legit. And I'm like, yo, Kobe died. And about 5 minutes later, I was like, shit. And Shelby was like, what? I'm like, yo, his daughter died. And that's when it just hit me. When I found out his daughter died in the crash as well, about an hour later, 30 minutes later, I just got up. I ran to the mall. I caught me a Kobe jersey and wore it for the rest of the day. But yeah, I was pretty fucked up that whole day, man. I think everybody was. And when as soon as I hit the streets, like an hour after finding out, everyone was in their Kobe gear. Mm-hmm. Everyone was running to the stores to get something, Kobe, and everyone. It was crazy because I was walking through the mall. I bought my Kobe jersey. I put it on. I walked through the mall. Dude stopped me. He's like, gave me a dap. We had a conversation for about 5 minutes. Old white dude, and we just talked about Kobe for like 5 minutes. And everyone that saw me in my jersey, if I saw someone in their jersey, it was just like a salute. Like, right. We lost a real one.
Right.
Yeah. How about you, man? Where were you?
Yeah, man. For me, I was fresh off of ankle surgery.
Okay.
I was laying in bed, foot up, rice, rest, ice, elevation, compression. And it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. I actually, now that I think about it, I got a text message from my boy, King Tut. Okay. Bill Tuttle, man. He sent me a text message, and he's like, Kobe died in a helicopter crash. And I'm just like, same thing, bullshit, right? Like Kobe's a superhero. Like Kobe Bryant is not dying.
Not.
You know what I mean? Kobe can do anything, right?
Right.
So he sends me the text, and I'm just like, bullshit, right, in my mind. And then I Google it, and I Google, Kobe died. Literally, I just put Kobe died in the Google, and then the TMZ article came up, and it said that Kobe died in a helicopter crash along with other people unknown, not yet named.
Right.
So instantly, I'm just like, TMZ really don't lie like that. You know what I mean? TMZ don't put out fake news. Like, if something happened and TMZ posted it, like, it happened.
Yeah. They're not gonna put the reputation on the line, especially with that crazy.
With Kobe Bryant's name. In the moment, I'm kind of like pondering the thought, like, is this real? Like, no way, right?
Yeah.
And then my wife starts telling me, she's in the bed next to me, like, no, I'm seeing it too. Like, this person said it, this person said it. So I'm like, no way. Turn on the ESPN. ESPN is like breaking news. Kobe Bryant has passed. Yeah. Died in a helicopter crash. And man, I just had so many memories just flood through my mind of Kobe, right? Because you're trying to process it. Yeah. And about an hour later, it comes out that Gianna was also on the helicopter with him when he passed.
Right.
And that just struck a whole nother vein, in your heart. And I was, I've had my son for 4 or 5 months at this time. So I'm just now getting used to the fact that I have a baby myself.
Right.
I have somebody that I love and I care about that was brought into this world. And to think about Kobe's situation and how he lost his daughter, the one that was most like him at that.
Right.
And it just hit me in a certain type of way, man, where.
And she was super talented too. And she idolized, her dad. And yeah, man, being a father too, to a 2-year-old. At the time, he was like 1 and some change. But yeah, when I found out Gianna had passed, man, that being a parent, especially, that does something to you, man. That puts you in a dark place, because you think, knock on wood, God forbid, that could be you,
right.
know. So man, that definitely. The vibe in LA, though, man. Talk about that. How, because like I said, when I stepped out with my Kobe jersey, everyone was wearing a Kobe jersey or a T-shirt or a hat or something that, paid their respects to, Kobe. And although it was a dark time, people were coming together, strangers were coming together and talking and just showing
mad love,
just camaraderie,
talking about watching Kobe and the memories and,
exactly,
and the way they made them feel. The vibe to me, it was similar to, when Nipsey Hussle was murdered.
Late great Nipsey.
Man, rest in peace, Nip. It was you drive around and you see the Kobe jerseys and you see all the murals that popped up like a day or two afterwards.
Right.
And it was just very grim, very cold, like it was just like in disbelief, like a Los Angeles legend is gone.
Right.
And overnight he was the angel of Los Angeles, you know?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the vibe, when Nipsey passed, it was the same feeling, you know what I mean? And then when Kobe hit, I think a lot of people in LA, Kobe hit harder because, Nipsey was more urban. And Kobe, everybody loved Kobe,
Yeah, I think to your point, Kobe was more of a worldwide hit, but being from LA and living in LA, I think Nipsey was just it was just as big. The hit was just as big, but it was kind of more so catered towards LA.
Yeah.
Because I remember with Nipsey, I was driving. It was me, Shelby, and Elijah. We were driving from the mall or something like that, and we heard it on the radio. And how they were reporting it on the radio, I think they just reported he got shot. They didn't report he was dead or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And for something, I can't remember for sure, but something tells me that just the tone of the radio personality's voice, I knew some shit was coming.
It was very unsure.
I was like, dang, I'm like, who? And they said Nipsey. I said, no way.
Yeah.
And then some told me, like, I just didn't think I pretty much.
You thought he was gonna pull through?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I pretty much, and maybe that's some negative, dark thinking, but I was like, something. I don't think so. And then by the time we got home, they said, yeah. It's just, I guess, the way, you could tell, like, if someone's reporting someone just got shot, and if someone got shot and it's not looking too good.
Yeah.
The way they reported it was like he got shot and
it's not looking too good.
It's not like they already maybe knew, but
they didn't want to confirm.
They didn't confirm it yet.
They didn't want to confirm.
So I was like, damn. So I remember by the time we found out, we got to the crib, and then in my apartment complex, there was a few of my friends outside, and they were already outside looking sad. Like,
yeah,
they were already drinking. They're already like
pouring one down. Yeah,
it's a wrap, So the vibe in LA, at least with Nipsey and Kobe, is very similar, two LA legends that impacted the city, that impacted the world in a major way. So R.I.P. Neighborhood Nip, R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Gianna, and everyone else on that helicopter. But let's talk a little bit about the Mamba mentality.
Man, the Mamba mentality.
What did Kobe mean to you growing up?
Man, Kobe, man, like everybody in my family, all of my friends loved Kobe. Kobe was our generation's Michael Jordan. And for me personally, because I saw that everybody at a young age, I was probably 5, 6, at a young age, everybody was a Kobe fan, and I was too. Mm-hmm. But just to go against the grain, I rooted against Kobe. Even though I love to watch him play, I rooted against Kobe just to have that competition with my friends and family. And,
I did that too.
You know, my guy was T-Mac growing up, so I love to see T-Mac and Kobe go at it.
Yeah.
But you know, Kobe was the benchmark in the league. Kobe was who everybody looked to, you know, for greatness or to be inspired or just to, you know, measure themselves against. And you know, he was the Michael Jordan of that time. So I think that's how everybody perceived Kobe Bryant.
Right.
You know, for me, so, you know, how about you?
So Kobe, kind of the same thing. Kobe, everyone loved Kobe. You know, all my friends loved Kobe. One of my best friends, Kyle, loved Kobe. And, you know, just to kind of go for the underdog, not necessarily the underdog, but, you know, AI was my guy. Allen Iverson was my guy. But when Kobe first came in the league, it was kind of that Kobe and Eddie Jones duo on the Lakers. And I liked Eddie Jones a little bit more, which is interesting. But
he was like, you know, he was the vet.
He was the vet. He was a little more seasoned. So I liked Eddie Jones more, but there was still that kind of that duo effect there. And so in my office, I have a picture of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. And it's that infamous pic where Kobe's kind of just posting up Michael. And I have that in my office just to signify a certain level of greatness. You know, we talked about it, Michael Jordan for a generation was the best player of all time, right? And Kobe Bryant to a certain generation is the best player of all time. Right. So just having those two in that moment, in that picture, is just signifying the old school and the new school of greatness. Right. You know, kind of passing on that torch and baton. So although I rooted kind of against Kobe and Allen Iverson was my guy, I always had a respect for Kobe Bryant's ability. You
undeniable.
You couldn't deny his ability and his work ethic, and that's what I kind of loved about Kobe. He fought and worked for his respect. He earned that. You know, a guy like LeBron, who arguably is the best player in the league right now, or was the best player even when Kobe was there, he kind of came in with all that hype. He kind of came in dominating. Kobe, coming from high school, being well, he was kind of the same age as LeBron.
Yeah, both out of high school, 18.
But both out of high school, he didn't have all that hype around him. He didn't come in dominating. So the fact that he worked his way to, you know, who he became and who he was, you had to show respect for that.
Well, in a way, you can kind of credit that to Kobe of why Kobe didn't have the hype that LeBron did, because Kobe kind of paved the way.
He was the first.
Kobe was one of the first ones out of high school that blew up into superstardom.
Right.
So it's like, oh, when this next high school player that could be like that, it's like they're already focused on it, and that came to, you know, the LeBron hype.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, when Kobe was making his transition out of high school to the league, there was kind of, critics were saying, like, you know, because he was like the first one.
He wasn't the first one. I think it was like Moses Malone. I think he was the first one.
He was one of the first.
He was in the 90s. It was like him, Kevin Garnett, Tracy McGrady. Those cats were.
So there was a few. But at that time, it was still deemed like, you know, most players go to college and that sort of thing. Right. So it was still fresh. It was still new. So, yeah, Kobe coming in the league, he didn't dominate like LeBron. He had to work his ass off to get where he was, man. So, again, R.I.P. Kobe Bryant. You know, his legacy and his Mamba mentality transcended sports. You know, that mentality, that work ethic, applies to
pretty much everything. You can apply the Mamba mentality to any single thing you want to achieve. You can subscribe the Mamba mentality to that. Right. And it'll carry anybody. You know, Mamba mentality mixed with the marathon continues is a deadly combination for success, as long as you as the individual can, you know, subscribe and attain to it and push it, you know, within your own mind.
I didn't think about that. The Mamba mentality coupled with the marathon continues is a deadly combination.
You know, you day by day you attack, you know, your goals, and just know it. The grind never stops. It's a marathon. You put those together, and you're dangerous.
Yeah. So salute Nipsey Hussle, Neighborhood Nip. And we'll get into neighborhood nip a little more later. But salute Kobe again, everyone on that helicopter crash. R.I.P. Condolences to their families. R.I.P. Gianna. She was hella talented as well.